I believe together now a few weeks, obviously intensity building with the week of the game. How are you looking at this game and what I suppose represents a decent performance against a very, very good French side?
Yeah, so we've been really lucky to be training the past few weeks together, and I think our connection as a team has grown a lot over those weeks, and even building on our last campaign last season. So, like, we're all systems go for this game. We want to give France our best performance. So, yeah, like, we're really looking forward to playing at home for the first time, starting off the campaign in Belfast. So, yeah.
France, it's expected that the tournament comes down between themselves and England. It has done over the last number of years, but a performance against this sort of side, if you're competitive throughout, just spoken to Hugh, is that what you're looking for here? A really solid performance that you're in with a shot of winning the game, into the last quarter.
Yeah, like, we have built a lot, I think, in the past couple of seasons, and we're not going out in this game just to play the game. Like, we are looking to perform and try to win this game. I mean, we've been training together, and like, this training's been very, very tough. And yeah, like, France are a really tough side, and there's no denying that. But I think Ireland are a tough side too, and we really want to give them a good rattling.
For you, Megan, off the ball. You described a French team as quintessentially French, so how are you preparing for them?
I mean, France, they can throw anything at you. I think that's, their style. It's jouer, play. So we've been preparing by doing everything that we can. Like, we know they like to kick, they like to play, they like to run, they like to offload. So it's just preparing in defense for that, staying connected in D, being aggressive, but equally then in attack, we know that they get excited themselves, and there could be shooters or things like that. So it's trying to pick off those things and what might be strengths are also weaknesses for them. So that's what we've been looking at.
You mentioned, of course, the first game is a home game. Does it take a little less pressure off, or does it put on more pressure?
I think it's just really exciting. I haven't played in a Six Nations in a long time personally, so I'm really excited to play at home in Belfast, hopefully in front of a really big crowd. We got a really good crowd against Australia there in a couple of months ago, so hopefully it'll be the same thing. But I mean, the pressure is the same no matter where you play, and yeah, we just want to bring a really good performance for our supporters.
I know you focus on game to game and tournament to tournament. Of course, it is a World Cup year, and I'm sure there's that added pressure as well. I spoke to Rosie Foley last week, and she just said, it's the closest thing to, I guess, in some ways, a home World Cup.
I suppose, you can say that. We're lucky it's just across the pond. But yeah, this year it's just, that is everyone's focus. There's no denying it. But I mean, we have to go game by game, and this France game, you could say this Six Nations is like a World Cup, we've got 5 really, really tough teams to play, and I think it's a great way to prepare us going into the World Cup later on in the year. So yeah.
Of course, you mentioned to us as well about Sam. She's here with you all, and she probably won't be fit till the summer. But how important is it having someone like Sam here?
Oh, she is such a strong presence in her squad. Her and Tricky, they're both great leaders. We look to them at any moment. Off pitch, she's constantly connecting with us, and then on pitch as well. She has to say she's at every pitch session. So it's so good to have her around. I mean, it is tough that she's not training, but equally, her presence is still felt by us all. So it's really great to have her in camp.
There's massive support year on year for this squad, but also recently I saw Lona Maher had a video up last week saying she was actually stood up, I think, in a pub on a table and said, "Everyone watch the Six Nations." So it must be hugely great to have someone with such a big presence on social media to be really back in the game. Obviously, she's with Bristol Bears now, and she really is trying to get the whole world involved.
Yeah, I think women's rugby is sort of having its moment, and I hope that continues because, we all love the game, and we just want as many people to see us play and to know that women's rugby is really exciting. It is really tough, and you know, it's not all about the men. I mean, they're great and all, but the women are great too. So I think it's really, really exciting. And Maher, like she's some character, and we'd know her from the Seventh Circuit, and she was the same on there too. So it's great to have her sort of personality trying to bring people in. And we saw what it did for the PWR, like her presence. It got people coming to games. They got stadiums changed just because she was playing. So hopefully that'll start happening for us too. But yeah,
Absolutely, best of the weekend.
thank you.
Following on from that,
Yeah.
like how big of a year do you think this is for the sport of women's rugby in Ireland? As you mentioned, it's as close as you could get to a home World Cup, but it's being in England, it's probably in the country where women's rugby has the highest level of interest. There's going to be so many people at stadiums, so many eyeballs on it. How kind of big is it for you to take advantage of what is coming ahead this year for the long-term future?
Yeah, I mean, performance will bring supporters and bring people along our green wave, and that's what we're really focusing on is our performance on the pitch. And you know, we want as many people to get on board our green wave and come out and support us. So yeah, it is really big and all that, but like we are going to treat it as any other World Cup. Okay, that's silly, sorry, but like we're just treating it like we want to go out and perform, and hopefully people will get on board with that.
Is the green wave the slogan for the year?
The green wave, the green wave's been around for maybe 2 seasons now. About that. Yeah, it's just I think it's gaining momentum, and more people are talking about it, which is really exciting, and we want to bring as many people as we can along with us.
As you
So,
mentioned as well, it's been a few years since you played
Yeah.
in the Six Nations.
Yeah.
How have you found coming back from sevens and I suppose having much more dedicated time at the 15s game over the last few months?
It's been great. Definitely the WXC campaign back in September, like I was a bit nervous getting in, but since moving into the fully centralised programme after Christmas, I feel like I've really settled into it. And, you know, this squad, we've been together now for a couple of weeks, and I think we've got really good connections. And for me personally, I think it's been great, and I've really, really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed being back in. So, yeah.
And just on that, Emily, you slotted in so well last autumn after being away from 15s for a while, but 9, I think, consecutive starts took over. Well, sorry, 8 if you're not called off. How useful was that for you to just, play that amount of 15s, albeit some matches weren't very close?
Yeah, for me personally, it's about getting the game time and getting exposure to, game situations, and also those connections with the players. So like Nicole Fowley, Enya Breen, all those girls that playing alongside them week in, week out, training alongside them. It just builds that on-pitch connection. I know I keep saying it, but, I know what one they're going to do in a certain situation, and you can't just get that from one day of training or 1 week of camp. You build that over a series of weeks and months, and I think that's been really beneficial from the Celtic Challenge.
And also that depth and competition
Yeah.
basis. Yourself and Molly interchanged very well last autumn. You've been obviously started all 5 Six Nations games last year. Celtic Challenge is commentating on you at the start and then just sort of there with you at the end. How important is that, the three of you just pushing each other on?
Yeah, I think we've got a great relationship where we constantly are pushing each other to be better, and we get to work together as well, off pitch and in analysis and things like that. But I think our competition is pushing each other. So when one person does something, the next person tries to do it too. And I think it's a really good and healthy relationship between us all. So I'm really excited to see how it goes.
You mentioned Nicole Fowley there. There's a lot of us who would look at Nicole Fowley and say she's quite often the brains of the team. She may not be racing around the pitch and winning 100-yard sprints. But can you tell us a little bit how you see Nicole, how she informs the game in football?
Yeah, like I got to play alongside her in the Celtic Challenge a lot. So she's a very intelligent player. She's a great kicker. She's a great pass. So I think I got to see all of that and got to work alongside her in Celtic Challenge, excuse me. But Dana is also an excellent 10, and being in camp with her now as well. I think we've got great depth in our 10s, and they control the game, you know, behind the scenes, you know, they are pulling the strings the whole time, and it just makes my job a lot easier as a 9. They're constantly telling me where they want the ball, who they want to hit, and just makes it easy for me.
Obviously, since we've been there, the French out half, scrum half, she's, I'm sure you've been doing a lot of work on her this week.
Yeah, she's a great player as well, no denying that. But again, you look at trends, but equally, we're the ones who are playing the game as well, and she hopefully will be looking at us as well. But yeah, like, she's a great player, but I think we've got really good players in our squad too. So yeah.
What way has sevens benefited your game, do you think? It was interesting to talk about going back from sevens, 15s, and made you better. What way do you think it made you a better player?
Well, I've been part of that program since 2018. So I've been in a high performance program since I was 19 years old, and I think that brings a lot to how I approach games and trainings and coming in here every day. I think the professionalism that you get from that is something that can't be matched. And then in sevens, it's a very brutal game. It's very physically tough, and equally the highs and lows. You play a game, you play 2 or 3 games a day over a weekend, so you have to learn how to pick yourself up and move on to the next game. And 15s, albeit it's longer, those kind of moments are in the game. There'll be a break in play, someone goes down, or a scrum's getting set, and maybe in the play beforehand you might have knocked on a ball. You get that moment to, like, okay, resettle yourself. What's my next job? Go again. That's where I think I get that from sevens, but I can bring it into 15s as well.